Welcome to Making Capitalism Sustainable on True Chat in Washington, D.C. I am Mike Petro, Executive Vice President of the Committee for Economic Development, or CED. And today I'm here with Bob Walker, the Executive Chairman of Wexler Walker and former member of Congress, to talk about the policy outlook for 2018. We'll talk about three key topics: tax reform, healthcare, and immigration. Now, before we start our discussion, don't forget that new episodes of Making Capitalism Sustainable are available every Friday by 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Hi, Bob. Welcome to our show today.
Great to be with you, Mike.
All right. It's just been over a year since the election of our president, and as we're quickly approaching 2018, I wanted to get your outlook on three highly debated issues and where they stand right now and where they'll stand in 2018. Let's start with tax reform, okay? So both Congress and the Senate have been presenting bills to reform the tax code. Do you think that tax reform is possible in 2018 or even by the end of this year?
I think that it's very possible it's going to happen before the end of 2018. As a matter of fact, I think there's somewhat of a chance that it will happen before Christmas this year. And the reason for that is that once you get into the political year of 2018, it becomes increasingly difficult to get members to take a look at the long range rather than the short range. And so the House is going to hopefully pass their tax reform bill Thursday this week, tomorrow. The Senate is acting in committee now and hopes to have their bill out pretty soon, too. And I expect a vote in the Senate will come sometime in early December. What they're probably going to have to do is go into a conference committee and mesh the two bills together. That could take a little bit of time, although they've been working together. So hopefully they can get it done before Christmas. If they don't, I would expect it to happen very early.
Do you think the results of the elections just in early November, do you think the results, at least for the Republicans, that's kind of given them a shot in the arm to get something done here before the end of the year?
Well, I think the Republicans have known all the way along that this is one of the things that they have to get done, that if they can't get tax reform done, which they've been running on for 2 decades, it's going to be very hard for them to make their case to the public in 2018. And so there seems to be a united effort among Republicans to see to it that they come up with a package that can be supported and can pass the Congress and can get down to the president for signature.
Right. So the last time our tax code was reformed was over 3 decades ago in 1986. Some of our listeners were probably not even alive then. So what needs to change in order for policymakers to successfully reform our tax code?
Well, first of all, there isn't a lot of reform in what they're doing right now. It's largely a tax cut rather than tax reform. I mean, if you really wanted to go to tax reform, you ought to begin to look at the entire tax structure of whether or not it's the right structure for a 21st century economy. That's not what they're doing. They're looking at making it simpler to file. They're looking at increasing personal standard deductions and a lot of those kinds of things that will add up for most groups on an average, for all groups on an average, of being a tax cut. But that's far different than getting a comprehensive tax reform. Comprehensive tax reform is going to take a very strong recognition, a bipartisan recognition, that the tax structure that we have in place right now is simply not capable of performing correctly in an economy that is relying more and more on individual entrepreneurship and less on big industrial structures.
Right. So the next issue that many of our citizens struggle to see eye to eye on is healthcare. And how can we amend our public healthcare system to make it easier to access more affordable and higher quality care? Well,
Of course, there are different streams of thought on that. The decentralization actually will lead to higher quality healthcare. And the way you do that is to form a system nationally that looks a lot like how we do car insurance, that allows the states to develop their own healthcare patterns that fit with the economy of their state and fit with what the people in their state do. Now, in order to make those systems work, you have to expand the access to them. You have to make certain, for instance, that we retain things like the pre-existing condition aspect of the present healthcare. Everybody is for doing that. But the only way that you can make that happen is to allow affiliations, common groups. And so where you have many employer-based systems at the present time, what you will have in the future, I think, in a healthcare system will be the ability of groups to affiliate, and they may have a common bond, they may not, but nevertheless, it will widen the pool so that things like helping young people keep their health insurance with their parents for a while, and also pre-existing conditions can be done in the context of a pool big enough to support them.
Right, right. So in addition to making capitalism sustainable, True Chat has a full selection of shows on sports, politics, entertainment, business, lifestyle, and much more. So be sure to head over to truechat.org or tune in by downloading the True Chat mobile app. That's True Chat, TRUECHAT. The Committee for Economic Development is proud to be a partner of True Chat, whose mission is to be the mortal enemy of speculation, innuendo, and stagnation. We will champion informed opinions and fresh ideas, and True Chat will prove that media can be trusted, relied on, and responsible. We won't join the media elite because we're setting a new standard, a higher standard, the True Chat standard. If you have any questions or concerns about today's episode, please email ethics@truechat.org. Again, that's ethics@truechat.org. Now we're here with Bob Walker, and when we're talking about some of these issues that are affecting our country, such as tax reform, healthcare, and immigration. So let's continue with our chat about healthcare. Are there any market-based recommendations that policymakers can follow to improve the state of healthcare in 2018?
Well, as I mentioned before, I think this whole business of figuring out how you can have affiliated groups that provide insurance broadly is a market-based solution. The problem with centralizing healthcare is the fact that it has to be supported then with public funds, and it's horribly expensive. I mean, you would have to end a lot of employer-based programs, to fold that in and make that all a part of public monies to support it. And I think that a market-based system is a far more advantageous way to move as a nation. Because what you get then is a system that allows people to select the best health care for them. We need to make certain that everyone has access to health care. It doesn't mean that they need access to exactly the same kind of health care program that everyone else has. It means that they can choose as a family, they can choose as a small business, that this is the direction we're going to go to create accessible health care for people. And in my view, that will end up being a far more affordable system.
Right, right. So lastly, there's been much debate, of course, on both sides of the aisle about immigration policy. Should we increase immigration, and what are some of the benefits we would see in the future as an effect of raised immigration levels?
Well, we need to have a legal immigration system that allows us to bring the best and the brightest people to this country. All over the world, there are people who want to come to America. They want to come here because there's a lot of opportunity here. And in many cases, they bring exactly the skills that our economy needs. We need to recognize we're an aging population in this country. We need skill sets in order to maintain our technological edge and our economic edge in the world. But what we can't have is a system where we don't know who's coming and where we don't have any idea whether or not they bring with them skills that are applicable to our economy. So I think that we need to strengthen our legal immigration. I think we actually need to expand the numbers of people that we allow into the country legally so that we do have the ability to reach out across the world. But at the same time, we need to control our borders in a way to assure that we are not simply bringing people in who are looking to live the American life without making the contributions that we require. The interesting thing about immigration in the past has been that the people who come here really come here to work hard, and I think that's the same today. But the skills are a different matter today than they used to be. It used to be you could come here and through the sweat of your brow make a decent living in the country. That is changing. And the advent of new technologies such as robotics means that we need to make certain that the people who are coming here have a skill level that allows them to participate actively in our economy.
Good points, Bob. Good points here. As always, we cannot thank you enough for tuning into True Chat, but did you know that you can join the conversation on our app or website? That's truechat.org. Did you know that? If you already listen to podcasts on iTunes and Stitcher or some other platform, you can also subscribe to our shows there as well. Thank you, Bob, again, Bob Walker, for joining us today, for making capitalism sustainable on True Chat in Washington, D.C. I am Mike Petro with the Committee for Economic Development. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Making Capitalism Sustainable.